Labor Senator Nicholas Reece, Deputy Lord Mayor of Melbourne, our lefty mate that we love talking to on a Tuesday night. What do you think of a budget that, if your former boss, Julia Gillard, had handed down, she would have been screamed apart. But of course, we are in the middle of this global recession. Thankfully, Australia has buffeted it, but in part that's because of the spending that's taken place. So good luck finding a loser here, Nick, but tell me what you think of the budget.
Well, I think one thing we can all agree on tonight, Paul, is when it comes to federal politics and Liberal and Labor, they are all Keynesians now, aren't they? $161 billion deficit, national debt tipping $1 trillion. I could remember back when the Labor was delivering deficits of $40 billion, and that was described by the then Liberal opposition as a debt and deficit disaster for Australia. Well, here we are today. The deficit is 4 times what Labor racked up, and yet it's the right thing to do. And it's right for the times. But of course, with the Liberals, what they are now is really Labor-lite, aren't they? I mean, they spend all this money, but I don't know that they're really getting the results. They've spent $100 billion extra funding tonight, and Australians aren't getting a pay rise off the back of it. There's over 21 new slush funds that have been set up, according to the Labor Party, with $4 billion in it. This is just, bad old Liberal Party politics. And notwithstanding all the spendathon, there's a $3.3 billion cut in infrastructure. So lots of spending, but I'm not sure it's going to all go to the ends that it should.
But the idea, though, when you talk about pay rises, yes, those things are obviously determined by the employer, but there's about 10 million people that are going to get a tax cut. This can't just get buried behind the women's security statements and and aged care. This is going to be, for most people, their interaction with the budget. People earning somewhere between the late 40s and $90,000. That's 10 million workers. They're going to get between $1,000 and $2,000 back. Now, I get it. The rule of politics is you can either count this as one annual payment or you can divide it by 365. But isn't that something that people, when they wake up tomorrow, to go, okay, what's all this about? If 10 million people are in that band, they get a thumbs up?
Well, it's a temporary tax cut, Paul. I mean, that low to middle income tax offset, it's really a tax rise that's been deferred. So it's not locked in forever. It's a 1-year payment. Let's see what happens to that pause after an election. Meanwhile, the other tax cuts that have been promised for higher income earners, they're still committed to. They're locked in future budgets. So I reckon if you're a low to middle income earner, there's not a lot there for you tonight. There are some good measures. I'm not going to be critical of everything. The additional funding for childcare is good, but again, why don't they make childcare free in this country? It would cost $2 billion to have childcare free in this country in the same way as primary school and secondary school is free for people. They've spent $600 million extra on childcare tonight. Why not just go all the way, spend the $2 billion, make it free and lock it in as part of the social wage, if you like, in this country? The mums and dads of Australia would welcome it, and it'd be great in terms of lifting participation in the workforce, and that'd be great for the broader economy.